putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Are we heading down a very bad road, or do you think this all ends well? Look, when when the president first got elected, I got heavily criticized for saying I hope he succeeds because America succeeds and the president succeeds. And I found myself first bemused, thinking that maybe these were just over-the-top gaffes that were going on. But now I've gone from that to I'm genuinely concerned. There's two things that have popped up, Chris. One is that this naked nationalism, that it's now us against them. As Richard Haas says, there's three ways countries lose their ability to influence the world and lose their power. And one of them, which is advocating that power. We're advocating our responsibility around the world and putting everything in terms of us versus them. The second thing that combines with that is this phony populism. This notion that the way in which the only reason you have a problem is because of the other. It's because of that immigrant or that minority or because of someone else doing something to you. And so this president spent his entire time since he's gotten in office trying to divide the country instead of unite the country. And as I said, I am more optimistic about the chances for America in the 21st century than I have been in my whole career. We have the most advanced universities in the world where all the research comes out of. We have the most productive people in the world. We have the most agile venture capitalists. We're in a situation where we're energy independent in North America. I mean, what are we doing? We're not talking about any of the things that really matter. And all he seems to be trying to do is undo everything President Obama's done. But he's not able to do that, by the way. Why not? Well, because if you see what happens, he's tried to he's damaged health care, but it's not gone. He has gone after the Paris Accord, but you see mayors and governors and local leaders getting together and making sure that it doesn't have the effect that he intended it to be. You find us in a situation where, there are millions of people still have, as I said, health care and preventive care. You find ourselves in a position where the education system is actually getting better and better, even though now there's a full-blown attack by the Secretary of Education on the things we put in place. He can't undo it all. He's hurting it. He's slowing the process. But most of all, we're missing an enormous opportunity to change the life for middle-class people.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. I actually thought that clip was Biden agreeing with the president's approach on DACA. But this one's just as good. So your screw up over there actually did okay. KJRadio.com if you want to give us a ring, 844-551-8255. So here's what's funny about what Biden just said. You could not be more screwed up than Joe Biden in this respect. Now, what we were going to play, which is him actually agreeing with the president on DACA, was me saying that, believe it or not, Biden is starting to soften. Now, I know what you just heard. You think, Kevin, that was Joe Biden. He's completely anti-Trump. It depends on how you hear it. So let me give you an example. He said, when the president succeeds, America succeeds. That's what he said when President Obama. We have to, when the president succeeds, we all succeed. And he says, and then there were these over-the-top gaffes. That's what people kind of looked at it. But he goes, no. He says now he wants to theoretically back off of that by saying, I can't say that anymore. Because two things have popped up during the Trump administration. One, he said, is naked nationalism. Now, I want you to understand the Democrats want to run against President Trump, against nationalism. The idea of putting America first. Now, they've done it once and they've lost, and they did it. They lost after stacking the deck with the FBI, FISA courts, and all these other people trying to get rid of Trump with their coronated candidate, who Joe Biden himself has said is better than Hillary Clinton. And Joe Biden, in positioning himself to run against Donald Trump in 2020, says naked nationalism is a negative thing. America first is a negative thing. Make America great again, a negative thing. Then he quotes some guy and he says, the one thing that you can understand that is the fall of a nation is when you abdicate your power. So Joe Biden indirectly believes that we've had that power over the last 8 years with Barack Obama, and we've advocated it because we put in a system that he called us versus them. I don't know what other way to describe this us versus them, except to say, I don't think Germany really cares about how well America goes. We could even go this far. We could say that the EU, the European Union, where does that include us? The EU is a bunch of nations across the pond who said, you know what? We're not as strong individually as America, but if we get together, maybe we could be as strong as America. To put it in golf terms, we have this thing called the Ryder Cup. It is America versus the rest of the world. That's what it is. Does America complain when the EU gets together and says, we're going to do our thing? Did Americans go, wow, look at that. You've got France and Germany and Sweden and all these countries trying to get together as a European Union. Shame on them. Where are we in it? We said, congratulations, do the EU. You know what happened with the EU? Britain goes, we want out. I guarantee you, if Brits were part of what America was building, they wouldn't be Brexiting. I can guarantee you that NATO, which was built around the United States, there's not a country in there that would stay with it if the United States left. The United Nations would not exist if the United States pulled out. So what are you talking about? We set the standard for nationalism. He went on to say this: phony populism. Phony popularism. Yeah, that's it. Populism. Meaning that all this love of Trump, this love of his policies, because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't have a love of Donald Trump. I respect him. I don't have a love of him. If Donald Trump screws up, I'll talk about it. End of story. For those who used to say, Kevin, where were you when George Bush was? I wasn't doing this. Once I figured out what was going on, and I've said publicly and many times, George Bush sucked as a president. There were a couple things he did right. I think his response to 9/11 was spectacular. The follow-up stunk. His fiscal policy stunk. The fact that he's a rhino that made it appear as though he was a conservative, it was horrible. It ruined the country because it led to a real, quite frankly, a devastating president after that. But the fact of the matter is, Donald Trump, we won't be saying he sucked. Will I agree with everything he's done? Absolutely not. But this idea that it's phony populism, that is exactly what's gotten the Democrats in trouble. But then it gets really interesting. He says, you can't be making people believe that the only reason they have a problem is because of that immigrant or because of that minority. I love how Joe Biden twists that argument. The people who voted out Barack Obama and the Democrats and voted in Donald Trump were the average Joe Americans of all ilks who said, you know what? Men said, you're not going to make me believe that I'm the reason a woman can't be successful in America. White people said, you're not going to make me believe that black people can't be successful in America because of me. And I can go down the line. Straight people say, you're not going to make me believe that gay people can't get what they need out of this country because of me. And everything else. If there was anybody pitting, groups against other groups, it was the left. But Joe Biden wants to spin it. What he's saying, and this is the way you have to understand this, folks, Joe Biden is telling you the truth, except he's putting it in the other speak. What have I told you about Democrats? Come on now. I told you what they tell you is what they believe about themselves. Joe Biden knows what they do. They divide. He says, I'm more optimistic than I've ever been. Advanced research, energy independence. Where's that research and energy independence coming from? Barack Obama, who wouldn't drill in Anwar, who wouldn't allow offshore drilling, who wouldn't do the pipeline, whatever it was called, that was coming from Alaska. Are you kidding me? We gotten our energy independence in spite of the left. The research that he touts doesn't come from the universities and think tanks. It comes from corporate America. They're the ones who fund these universities and these think tanks. They're the ones who invest in that. And then he talked about undoing Obama. He's not undoing Obama. Yeah, he says he damaged healthcare, but it's not gone. No, he improved damaged healthcare. Again, Think about how they understand things. He talked about the Paris Accord. Donald Trump took us out. We are now not burdened by that nonsense. And he's saying, oh, but the state governors and all that. Continue to fight. Watch what happens as that money moves from California and these over-aggressive states. And then he had to come back to health care and say preventive care. It's done nothing for preventive care. He knew that. And then he claims that education's better. What a joke.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.